Hey guys, old CHH here. I wanted to do a video where we just kind of sat down for a second and talked about the state of horror in 2024, what we can expect, and what are some things I'm really excited to see. And there's one particular thing I'm really excited to see. So I was kind of looking over what's come out this year and things that are coming out. There's Blumhouse movies, you know, like Imaginary. There's movies like Immaculate. Movies like Night Swim that came out. But then you'll have these fun comedies like Lisa Frankenstein, Destroy All Neighbors. And then we're still in this this mix of bringing back series that are either vintage at this point or considered classics. One that I would consider vintage, not necessarily a classic yet, is like The Strangers. But it was interesting when we got a sequel to that 9 years later after the first one came out. But now we've got a trilogy, which is something else I'm also wondering about. Is the thing now to do is just announce 3 movies at once. Now we saw that happen with The Exorcist, but I don't know if that was the best choice to make. I think there's some preconceived notions going in by the viewers when you say, okay, we're making 3 of them. Well, it kind of takes away the fun of getting ready to go see this new movie to me, because it's like, is it all on the line on this one or not? You know, when you know there's 2 after it, it kind of just makes you say, okay, well, they're going to take it a little bit forward on this one, but there's more to come. So, that's something I can't say I'm really a big fan of. You can do it, but don't make it public. Let the public think that this movie they're going to see, it's all on the line and this could possibly be it. You know, leave some stuff up to our imagination. Don't tell us, hey, we're doing a trilogy. But that's just me. Maybe you guys aren't that upset about something like that. And we've gotten sequels, weird movies like Mousetrap, which looks to be like a horror movie version of Mickey Mouse. And then there's this big explosion right now of Winnie the Pooh. This is something I never saw coming. Are we about to enter the public domain, you know, classic fairy tale characters or folktale, whatever you call them? You know, Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey came out and made a little bit of a splash, but it had a pretty negative reception. But despite that, it made a lot of money. There was definitely a curiosity factor of, oh my god, we're going to see a movie called Winnie the Pooh, and people are going to get killed by, you know, our lovable bear that we saw when we were kids. So I find that pretty fascinating. But I think, you know, the reviews for the second one are looking good, so maybe, you know, the people that made the first one used that curiosity factor to their benefit, and they're going to make, hopefully, a really bombastic, fun, over-the-top slasher film. But when you look at, like, the state of horror today and you get asked, like, what era are we in? I mean, if you look at the mid-2000s, that was definitely, you know, the remake era. The 2010s was definitely the, you know, paranormal possession, conjuring era for sure. But the tail end till about now, I don't know, are we about to get into a transition period, or are we in the throes still of what we would call the requel, or still sequel era? Because, you know, there's a mix of things going on, which I think is a good thing. But I'm wondering if it's time to put some stuff to bed. I don't know, you know. The requel thing, it only starts out as that, but then you'll get sequels to that movie, and it's like, I feel like we're in this screw the timeline era as well. I don't know. Needless to say, with Halloween, they completely ignored every sequel except the first one this time, which I know a lot of people are still bummed out about. But I feel like we're in the era of the throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. And I don't really mean that as a slight. I kind of mean that as a good thing. I love the fact that I can go on Shudder and be exposed to great foreign films that, you know, get some traction online. And I love that I can go see movies like, you know, the new Strangers movies coming out. And while I don't love the fact that they talk openly about, okay, we're going to make 3 of them, it is fun to see. I just wish they would keep that kind of stuff down low. But I don't have a lot of negative feelings about horror today. What I actually think is really cool is I feel like the word of mouth, despite the fact that, you know, you think of something like the word of mouth being an old school pre-internet thing, I actually think the word of mouth could actually be more prevalent now than it might have even been back then, because movies are able to get, I'm looking at When Evil Lurks right now, which is a foreign film, and it got a lot of praise last year, and people were talking about it saying, hey, go see this movie. And, you know, it became a Shudder exclusive, and it went to theaters, and it is great. So a movie like that kind of got into the pop culture, at least in the horror fans' pop culture, so to speak. And we're getting cool stuff like that. You know, I just saw this really great movie called Late Night with the Devil, which is so unique to anything going on right now. It's almost anti Hollywood cinema right now with how unique it is. Basically playing in the form of a late night TV show like Johnny Carson. And I think people are really looking for something different. At the end of the day, I think we all just really want to be entertained. And when you see the same things over and over again, that becomes not entertaining anymore. So I almost feel like underneath everything, we're in the stick out and, you know, get your following era. Because I do wonder if some of these requels and things going on are going to come and go, and they'll be forgotten in time. And the original movies and the original sequels will live on, while other movies like, you know, Halloween Kills or this new Exorcist movie may kind of fall to the wayside a little bit. Obviously not permanently, or not in a major way, but maybe a little bit. I don't know. It's hard to say. You know, time kind of answers all these questions that I'm asking right now. But I do think we're in some sort of a, you know, throw it at the wall and see what sticks era, which I think is really cool. But I also think we're in the nostalgia era still. You know, we're big into the 80s and 70s vibes that I think we're all, people like me that, you know, grew up in the 90s and didn't live in the 80s or much less the 70s, we might sensationalize it a little bit in our heads of what it was really like. And we just really long to get that kind of vibe in movie. But I also think that those times really open themselves up to making horror just more scary, quite frankly. I don't know if it's the wallpaper in the homes back then, or the way people dressed, or the lack of technology. But in my opinion, a lot of those movies, like I said, with Late Night with the Devil, they just open themselves up to be much more creepier. And I guess I'm still into that sort of thing, the nostalgia kind of vibe. And that kind of leads me to talk about this movie trailer that I saw in the theater, which I saw on my phone, but seeing it in the theater completely changed my mind and has me super excited for something. So this trailer started playing when I was in the theater to see the Devil, Late Night with the Devil, and I see this zombie come out of the ground in the woods. And it looked like Jason from Part 6, which really blew my mind. And this zombie's walking through this house. There's nothing fancy about it. There's nothing Hollywood about it. It's gritty. For the first time, I saw something that reminded me like I was watching a slasher film, like, take your pick, The Prowler or The Slayer. Just genuine vintage vibes, like nothing I'd seen in the last number of years, especially movies that were trying to do this in a slasher thing. And you see this zombie walking through the woods, attacking people, and it was so intense and grim. And it honestly kind of blew away my expectations of how genuine you could make a movie feel like it took place at a certain time. As a matter of fact, if you had just shown me this trailer and said, did you see this movie, this slasher film that came out? It came out in 1983, and showed it to me, for a few seconds I probably would have been like, oh no, I never saw this, but this looks really good. So I almost feel like we're at a time now where it's pushing the envelope into some of these certain subcategories I'm bringing up, nostalgia being one of the big ones. Like, Late Night with the Devil really pushed the envelope of feeling like a legitimate 70s talk show. And this movie, In a Violent Nature, just, I mean, to me, this really opens the door for, hey, we can feel nostalgic and make you feel good, or we can try to trick you and really think you're watching something from the 80s. And that's something I'm pretty interested in, at least at this point in time, because it hasn't been overdone yet. I feel like this could be a whole separate category of making nostalgic type movies, where it's beyond feeling nostalgic, but tricking you to really think you're seeing something that just came out years ago. So watching that trailer in the theater had me more excited than I had ever been to see a horror movie in quite some time. And of course there's a chance this movie could not be good, but by that trailer's look, it looks really, really cool. If you haven't seen that trailer, go check it out. So I guess we're in a pretty good place if I had to, surmise my whole thoughts on this whole thing. You can kind of get whatever you want. Whatever you're looking for, it's kind of there. If you like horror sequels to, classic and vintage movies, they're still making them. If you like to try to find the new hidden things or the new next big things or the great foreign films, man, Shudder is your place. They're going to take care of you and then some. And then you'll see really cool movies like Suitable Flesh with people like Barbara Crampton in it. And if you want to get some stuff that's pushing the envelope in terms of how ridiculous it is, Winnie the Pooh will take care of you too. But I really think we're about to cross this threshold into a let's lose the nostalgia vibes and let's really trick you to make you think you're seeing something from this time period. And people that were alive back then could answer that kind of thing better than me. But I ask you, if you grew up in the 80s and you experienced that style and that life, tell me what you think about that trailer for In a Violent Nature. To me, it was a game changer in making movies look and feel a certain way. So this could be the next big thing. I mean, if that's the case, I think this could be really exciting. So honestly, I would say right now we're in a thumbs up period. There's always going to be good, there's always going to be bad, but the hope is that there always will be good and not just all bad, because I think we've been there before and I don't want to go back to that. With that being said, guys, I am looking forward to some cool stuff like that, and also classic stuff like Nosferatu coming out this October as well. But this In a Violent Nature has me more excited for a horror film than I have been in honestly a couple years. So let's see what happens, guys. Huge giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind the scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.